Hey, what's going on? Happy Monday. Welcome to another episode of the Dealer Playbook Live. This is a podcast that explores how to create a thriving career in the retail auto industry. I want to share 3 things with you that are going to help you thrive during a time of crisis. Let's do it. What a week. You probably notice I sound a little bit different. A little bit like Rod Stewart. I posted on my Facebook last week, had a picture of a face mask, and I was like, oh man, what a time to get strep throat. And yes, for those of you wondering if it was actually strep throat. Yes, it was actually strep throat, got the swab and all that kind of stuff. It was strep throat. What a heck of a time to get strep throat. Anyways, I am back in the saddle. So good to be back in the studio. I want to share with you 3 things that are going to help you thrive during this weird, uncertain time. And hopefully you get a ton of value out of it. Of course, I want to be able to take some live phone calls. If you have questions, comments, feedback, ideas, this is really the time for us to all come together and collaborate and get creative. And so if you would like to give me a call at any time during this broadcast, you can do that by calling 1-780-306-2021. That's 1-780-306-2021. So I want you to know that, I mean, a lot of us are probably thinking the same thing today, right? Like we're uncertain. We're wondering like, hey, what's going to be happening in the coming days? What's going to be happening in the coming weeks, months, year? Like what is going to be going on here? And really, I want to just start off by saying that I'm extremely grateful. I'm extremely grateful. And this is going to maybe sound weird to the wrong audience, but I'm really extremely grateful that we've seen a situation as far as the market is concerned, similar to this. But I'm also grateful for something else. And that is that, like the markets, we've seen downturns in the market. We've seen downturns in the economy multiple times in our human history. But I'm grateful that there is a slight difference on this one. There's because it's a health crisis that we're dealing with, because it's a health emergency that we're dealing with, there's kind of an outpouring of humanity. There's more love involved going on. There's more concern for our neighbor going on. There's concern for our family, of course, and I'm going to read some comments that I've received on Facebook to that regard. But there is a kind of an outpouring of love. But I'm really grateful, especially as far as business is concerned, that we've seen a situation where the market has taken a downturn. My family business, we've lived through all the volatility of the 80s. We made it through every market downturn since. And so one of the things that I'm hoping you can get out of this, if you're watching it live or on replay, is that you get a sense of hope. If you haven't been feeling a lot of hope, I hope that I can give you a sense of hope. I hope that this stems or sparks some measure of creativity and that you start thinking out of the box. And that's really going to be the intention. I mean, in 2008, my company was hit hard. We flirted with insolvency, and I'm not going to lie, it was really, really uncomfortable. And in those early moments of just kind of trying to figure out what was going on, I had no clue what to do. I was lost. And I know a lot of people are feeling that now. I remember the panic. I remember sitting in the hallway outside of my tiny little 50 square foot office. It was actually an old pantry that we had converted into an office. But I remember sitting in the hallway outside my office next to my dad, head in our hands, just doing the, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We had no clue what was going to happen. But I'm grateful for that experience. You're going to hear me say I'm grateful a lot. And that's because I really do feel grateful. I'm grateful for that experience because it's where I personally learned valuable lessons that I want to share with you today. I want to share 3 things with you today that I learned the last time there was uncertainty in the markets and things started to kind of go south. That will hopefully give you hope, some creativity, and the reassurance that we will We will make it through this. You understand? We will make it through this. My goal really is to just share those ideas. I want to be able to do whatever I can to help others make it through uncertain times like this, to maybe break down thought processes as much as we possibly can so that we can stop wondering what's going to happen and start just taking some strategic actions. On Facebook, Funny Scold says, "How's it, brother? It has been just been announced that South Africa is in lockdown until the 16th of April. We all have to stay home." Yes, we all do. And that really is kind of a responsible thing to do. We need to be distancing ourselves. We need to be cautious. We're those numbnuts spring breakers that think they're invincible, and now there's all these new reported cases of COVID coming out from that group. Like, this is just nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense that you would think you're invincible to this. But hopefully we can understand it as much as we possibly can from a scientific perspective, get all of the data, get all of the facts, but also keep moving forward, because we will make it through this. Now, I do want to have some conversations with you. If you have questions, comments, you can leave me a message or call me live and be broadcast right here on this live stream, 780-306-2021, and I am blasting that number out into the comment universe. So anyways, if there's one thing that I know for sure, repeating what I just said, if there's one thing that I know for sure, it's that we will make it through this. You understand? We will make it through this. We are more resilient. We are passionate. We are filled with hope, with faith, with ideas, with creativity. I know that uncertainty can turn to clarity. And there are specific things you need to do and you need to know in order to thrive at a time like this. And I'm just trying to do my best to keep track of comments coming in from a bunch of different platforms. We're on Twitch, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on everywhere. And so that's really, one of the things that we need to be cautious of, is that we will make it through this and we can't panic. In 2008, 2009, that's what happened for me. The pressure that I felt in those moments sitting outside of my hallway, that was like an incubator. You remember that scene from Superman? I'm not sure. I can't remember which one it was. That scene from Superman where he flies into the coal. And I mean, this has been debunked on so many levels, but where he flies into that coal mine and he picks up a lump of coal and he squeezes it and he blasts his laser beams at it. And then he opens his hand under that intense pressure and heat, and it turns to diamonds. That's kind of, what happened to me in 2008. Was it uncomfortable? Absolutely. But I know that those uncertain times definitely turned to clarity for me. I know that pressure became an incubator that just helped me start pumping out new ideas, new concepts, new business models, new processes, and ultimately new ways of attracting customers and building lasting relationships. 2008, I learned that with big crisis comes equally big, if not bigger, opportunity. You understand? It all depends on where you're looking. Of course, you need to keep your eyes open. You need to be looking. And that's also where I learned, you hear me say this on the podcast all the time. That's where I learned that what you focus on, you find. Cognitive bias. And this is certainly a time for us to be focusing on our energy in the right direction. You see, I chose to invest in myself. I chose to invest in my company. We shifted some of our processes that we believed would bring value to our clients and also pump new blood into the veins of our business. We got creative. And that creativity sparked innovation. And while our competitors were closing shop, we began to grow by double and triple digits. What started out as uncertainty fueled creativity, which from there stemmed innovation that helped us grow dramatically. The recession ended up being an incredibly lucrative time for my company, and the company that I have today was birthed essentially during that time period. And so I know that this can be the same for those that are feeling uncertain. Fani says, Gary V, perspective, patience, and innovation, we will get through this. Absolutely. You see, it's what happens during times like this. People's minds go into overdrive and innovation results. I mean, look at the last time this happened. Companies like Airbnb, Uber, Slack, GitHub, like there were just a lot of really big companies that were born during that time. And it's because when we're put under pressure, something amazing can happen to us if we focus our energy in the right direction. And that creativity happens, innovation happens. It's also important for us to kind of just wrap our heads around what we know. And this might be my controversial statement of the day. And I think you need to hit that share button. You need to hit that share button so as many people as possible can hear my controversial statement of the day. And I don't say it tongue in cheek. Like, this is actually, I'm going to say this, and a lot of people are going to disagree with it. And a lot of people are going to agree with it, but I have to say it. So go ahead and click that share button so that we can get more people in here before I get into the 3 things that I want to share with you. The controversial statement is we need to focus on what we actually know. Like, if you're watching CNN and it's just live streaming CNN and NBC and CBC and all the different news outlets, dude, the world's ending. I really think there needs to be legislation passed that when we're dealing with a crisis in times like this, that news media should not be allowed to share sensationalized headlines. And if they do, they need to also share a lot of the same facts. But look at how many people are freaked out and panicking because of the headlines that they're seeing. According to the news media, dude, like, this thing's going to explode and the planet's going to explode and we're going to be like Krypton, all falling into the abyss of outer space. Like, it's absolutely asinine. So if you're watching news media on a constant stream, you need to start like doing the research on the back end of that. You need to start seeing what medical professionals are saying. You need to start seeing what the reports are actually happening. You need to put them into context. You need to look at those percentages in context and understand exactly what's happening, or else we're all doomed. That's the first thing. So what you focus on, you find. If you keep focusing on sensationalism, you're going to find more sensationalism. Guess what? You're going to get sick. We're looking at the cases reported in Canada right now, over 1,400 cases of this virus in Canada. If we look at the breakdown of that, a lot of senior citizen homes, and I'm not saying that to diminish seniors. We love them. We don't want anything bad to happen to them, but they're isolated inside of some of those environments, unfortunately. And I hope on the back end of this, we can see some improvements on how those facilities are managed to hopefully, not see something like this happen again. We're seeing majority of the cases with light symptoms, light fever, light congestion, these sorts of things. We're seeing a smaller subset in Canada, a much smaller subset in Canada that are in critical condition. And so it's not the virus that we should particularly be afraid of, because we're going to get sick. At some point, I was just sick with strep throat. And if you ask me, dealing with strep throat was just atrocious and I never want it again. It sucked, but you know what's happening? I'm getting better. I am getting better. And so I know that can be a controversial kind of statement, but we need to really look at what we know and what we don't know. We know that we're dealing with a health crisis. We know that it's evolving day by day. We know that we've been asked to stay inside. We know that businesses have been, we need to be, we know that maybe the state or the province or the country or the whatever has asked us to stay inside. We know that that's a responsible thing to do. We know that that is going to help save lives. We know that that is going to help with the curve in some way, shape, or form. We know that, we know that some dealers are taking extra precautions. They've chosen to, increase their cleaning. We know that they're limiting staff counts at certain points of time. They're staggering it. But we also know that others are just choosing to close completely, even if they haven't been asked to. And so what else do we know? Well, we know that a lot of industries, a lot of original equipment manufacturers are stepping forward. They're providing aggressive incentives. to help kind of just keep some measure of momentum going in purchases, products, services, all those sorts of things. We also know that there's going to be relief coming on existing loans and existing leasing. The most recent is I saw from Hyundai, and they're playing it on a case-by-case scenario, but they've reached out and said, hey, if you feel like you're going to be in a position where you're going to need some help, we're able to work with you. We know, what else do we know? We know that big companies, multi-billion-dollar companies, like if they're really this stupid, let me just make this another statement here. If they're really this stupid that they're not paying attention to their supply chain, then anybody can grow $1 billion business. Okay, but like, don't you find it ironic that there were some major announcements like Corvette, the GM truck battery that rivals performance with the Tesla truck's battery? Like, don't you think they would have waited to announce these sorts of things if there wasn't hope that there would be a light at the end of this tunnel? They're not just sitting there being like, oh, well, we never saw that company, even though their supply chains were already disrupted 3 months ago. So you have to like really kind of just break things apart and really think about things clearly here. Craig Lockhart says, freaking men. Great. So there's a lot that we do know. We also know that while the timing might suck, okay, pay attention, car dealer friends, while the timing might suck, there's still going to be end of finance customers. There's still going to be lease expiries happening over the next few months. We know that if you're in a large farming area, large agriculture driven area, that people are going to need to stay in business. Those are essential services. We know that we can't push back spring. We can't push back spring till July. We can't push back planting season. We know that a lot of these organizations are going to have to stay in business, and that many of them are depending on dealerships to keep their vehicles running efficiently and safely and properly so that they can get the job done that we're all going to need, especially as it pertains to, food and all that kind of stuff, the supply chain there. So the timing might suck, but there's still certain things that we know. We know that those driving vehicles currently are going to need them serviced. We are going to need to continue to servicing those vehicles. But the single biggest question we have as business owners at a time like this is, how long will this take to blow over? And we just don't know. We just don't know. It could blow over quickly within a couple of months, or maybe it triggers an economic depression that lasts longer. That's what we don't know. And that's where a lot of people are lingering. But what do we know? Ultimately, there are two things to remember. And these are lessons that I've learned in my career, having been around this block before. First, time is on your side, okay? It's your friend. Time will continue to go on. It might be painful. It might be gritty. The next 100 days, you might have to buckle down. But time's going to move on. So time's on your side. We have more time than the media wants to let us believe that we have. Think about it. You've got time. You're watching or listening to this presentation right now, and you deemed it worthy of what? Time. That's an indication that we're all willing to give our time and energy towards something that we deem valuable. Okay, you need to remember that. You also need to pay attention to the fact that social media has become the equivalent of the truck stop bathroom stall. Like, there's a lot of crap going on in there. And so if you're choosing to spend your time there, guess what? This is going to be a really bleak 100 days or however long it's going to take. Okay, but here's the second thing. While time's on your side and time is your friend, the second thing is you need to understand is that emotions can be your enemy. You can't let your emotions get in the way of your motions, okay? Think of everyone panicking right now. You think they're making good decisions about what to do next? When's the last time you made good decisions when you panicked? Okay? Everybody that's pulling back and cutting back and disappearing and climbing into their hole and panicking and laying in the corner with their thumb in their mouth, in fetal position, dude, they're out of the game. They're out of the game. You understand? They're out of the game. See, look, if I'm driving in a race and I notice that my competitors are braking too early coming into a corner, coming into a turn, and then they're not accelerating at the appropriate time, I'm going to learn from that so that the next time I approach a corner, my strategy is solid. It's straight, it's straightforward, it makes sense, and I'm going to do the things that they're not doing. That was actually the premise of my book, Don't Wait, Dominate. It was about not following the crowd. It was about standing out and getting creative so that you can grow and be independent and create your own supply chain. Well, we saw that happen in 2008. We saw that happen at 9/11. We saw people pulling back. We saw people breaking into the corners too early. We saw them accelerating too late. Wise people learn from experience. Super wise people learn from others' experiences. You understand? And so it's not about what happened then. It's about what are you going to do now? What did you learn from those experiences, and what are you going to do differently now? So now that you know a little bit about my experience and how I've been around this block before, and that I was able to make myself a thriving environment where we grew by triple digits. Now that you know where my brain is at a little bit, do me a favor, share this out with those that you believe will find value in it, those that maybe need to hear 3 things that are going to help them thrive during this time, not just survive. Okay, would you do that for me? Let's share this out. Let's see as many people as we can get in here. Now, also, if you want to give me a call, 780-306-2021. You don't have to. I realize that a lot of people are scrambling right now, but I want to make sure that this gets out there and it lives on, and people can watch it at their convenience whenever it makes the most sense for them. All right? So let's dig into this. Number 1, the first thing you need to do so that you can thrive during a time like this. Right? You remember I just talked about how emotions get in the way of your motions? Well, the first thing that you need to do is let customer data do the talking. I talked about ignoring the news. I talked about ignoring social media. I talked about how social media is the equivalent of a truck stop bathroom stall right now. So where should you be paying attention? What should you be focused on? When the markets crashed in 2008, we paid attention to our customer data. We paid attention to what data was telling us. We paid attention to what customers wanted. See, our research today indicates that customers are there's still search activity happening for a variety of different dealership-related terms. If you look at like Google search interest over time, we're still seeing a steady flow of search interest for particular years, makes, and models of vehicles. Now, how do we get a gauge of that? Well, the first thing that we can do is look at something like Google Trends. This is one of our favorite tools where we can start some of our research process. But Google Trends basically allows us to gauge search interest from Google's perspective over time. And we're still seeing some pretty interesting search volume happening for specific makes, models, and services over time, especially over the last 30 days. We're seeing it kind of remain consistent. What does that tell you? It tells you that customers are still online and they're still engaged in searching for things that for which they find interest. So that's something you need to pay attention to. And this actually is interesting because if we cross-reference those Google trends to like 08, 09, where we were able to see search interest kind of do the exact same thing. It kind of maintained level. It didn't really decrease. So that's something important for you to look at from a historical data perspective. We're also seeing search interest maintaining a steady level for repair and service-related search terms. So that's an indication that customers see their vehicle as a utility, right? They're seeing their vehicle as a utility and not necessarily just a luxury. I tell you what, as a bit of a germaphobe, I want to be in my vehicle if I have to go out. I'm not going on, and I recognize that's not the case for a lot of people, but look, I mean, you're not, if you live in an area where public transit is your main method of transportation, then vehicle dealers aren't selling to you anyways, right? So now we need to recognize that even though search levels are still there, they may not necessarily translate to actual vehicle numbers. I totally get that. And of course, we saw a decline in vehicle sales during 08 and 09, and then a steady increase from 2010 and on. And I think we're going to see something very similar to that happen right now. We may see some decreases in sales numbers, but we're going to see it climb back up. We're going to see relatively speaking, we're going to see a pretty quick recovery. Not only that, if you look at, studies released by Google, that kind of highlight the consumer path to purchase. I'm speaking specifically to Canada right now, but you need to look at your regional information from Google. But in Canada, we're seeing that the customer buying journey sits in and around 70 to 74 days, meaning that you already have customers sitting somewhere in the purchase journey, that they might be conducting research or looking for answers to questions. So the question is really, what are you going to do? Abandon them? What would that mean? Like if you cut back and you abandon people that are already engaged in this process, what does that mean for the following 74 days, right? So how can we know what customers are searching for? That there's another tool out there called Answer the Public. This is one of my, excuse me, this is one of my beyond favorite tools out there. It actually leverages Google's auto suggest algorithm so that you could type in something like F-150 or Chevy Cruze or something like that and click the search button. And what happens from there is that Answer the Public will actually supply you with all of the things, all of the different prepositions that people are typing into search engine to conduct their search activity. And so knowing that there's still search activity, by paying attention to your customers and by learning specifically what they are interested in, you are able to supply them with relevant answers to their questions, especially when they've got time. And that kind of brings me to point number 2 that I want to bring up. Okay, the second point that I want to bring up to help you thrive during a time like this is that it's more important than ever to track your leads and know where they're coming from with like tactical precision. Okay. None of this guessing, or one vendor taking all the credit kind of crap that we've kind of become soft with. That's just not going to cut the mustard during a time like this. In 08, 09, I learned that I needed to know exactly with tactical precision where my leads were coming from and what marketing activities were driving those interactions. When things were bleak for us, there was no other way. We had to understand. And now more than ever, when you do get leads, you need to understand exactly where they're coming from and what caused them to happen. This also goes beyond Google Analytics and setting up goals. That is something that still needs to happen. You need to make sure your GA, your Google Analytics is set up properly. But this goes beyond that. You need to know what campaign, what social post, email, what platform did they originate from to truly understand how things are performing and where your dollars are working for you. That's something that was so crucial for us, is understanding where our dollars were working for us. You see, when I perform audits for my clients, it's shocking to just see and to know that they really don't have a clue where their leads are coming from. They see them plop into the CRM, but they don't really have an idea of where they originated from. They might get a blanket report from one of their third parties, but they don't know specifically what it is that drove that lead to happening. And that's frightening, because that kind of, ignoring the leads is why they drive up in cost. So look, you can't get away with any of that kind of lackadaisical behavior when it comes to your leads during a time like this. Okay. You need to know to the penny what's helping you win and what's not. Luckily, like I said, there is technology out there that can help you do this. This is not only going to save you thousands of dollars, but that's going to keep you strong in the game and moving forward and maximizing each opportunity that comes your way. Okay. Now I want to kind of wind this down with point number 3. Point number 3, if I learned anything during the last crash of 08, 09, it's that I got to be aware of where my biases are at. I need to create a plan and I need to stick with it. Okay. So the first thing, okay, remaining positive. Okay, because that's what we want to do. We want to remain positive, but remaining positive and then thinking you know everything that's going to happen, therefore you don't need to plan or prepare, are two vastly different things. It's one thing to be positive and have an optimistic, hopeful outlook on this situation. That's what I have. It's another thing to think I know everything that's happening and I know what's best and I know what I got to do and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's just ridiculous. Okay. Remaining positive is going to help you see opportunity, but thinking you know everything is that's going to happen and just brushing everything else off is your ego talking. You understand? You got to get your ego in check. Those spring breakers that thought they were invincible, that was their ego. And now guess what? Their ego is in check. They're starting to get sick. Their ego's in check. It's important for you to finally create and stick to a strategy. I'm stressing this one right now because it's difficult it's been difficult when things are good for people to stick to a strategy and plan. Now that things are a little bit more uncertain, I'm freaked the crap out for some people. Having a solid strategy that makes sense, that everybody agrees with, that everybody understands, that your team can get behind and is bought into, that's what's going to define the outcome of this whole ordeal, okay? That's what's going to help save you. If it comes to marketing, you need to understand and have a strategy and stick to it. It kills me. Oh, I sound like Rod Stewart right now, by the way. I swear if I opened my window and started singing, there would be a lineup of 55-year-old women waiting for an autograph. But it kills me. You understand? It kills me that I even have to say this, but it kills me how many people do the equivalent of starting a 100-meter dash and then once they take off realize or think that they wanted to run a marathon and then divert course and start running a marathon and then wonder why they never got to the end of that 100-meter dash. Doesn't make any sense. So having a solid strategy is what's going to help you endure as we anticipate things getting back to normal. So do you have a strategy? If so, where is it documented? Who all knows about it? Does everyone know their role and what they're supposed to be doing? Or do you feel like you're shooting from the hip still? This is no time to shoot from the hip. So let me just recap these. I've got them right in front of me. Let me recap these. Number one, let customer data do the talking. This is not your time to waste time listening to the news headlines all the time, okay? This is not the time for that. The time is to focus your energy, see what customers are really interested in, get online, look at the data, see what it's telling you. And then from there, use what you're seeing to fuel creativity and innovation so that you can adapt to the market. Look, the only reason we're in business is because we are solutions creators. Solution creators. So now that we're faced with this problem, why is everybody pausing? Shouldn't you still keep looking for solutions? The only way you're going to be able to do that is if, number one, you let the customers do the talking. Number two, once you have figured out how to innovate inside of what customer demands are, what they want, you need to keep track of those leads and those interactions and those opportunities like your life freaking depends on it. You understand? Now more than ever. As lead volume gets a little bit more scarce, you need to know with tactical precision, okay? You need to know with tactical precision where they're coming from, how they got to you, why they got to you, when they got to you, and who they are. You understand? And then point number three, be aware of your biases. Be aware of your biases. Create a plan and stick with it. Now, I want to be able to help you as much as I possibly can in any way that I possibly can. If that's sitting down and collaborating with you, want to make myself as available as possible to do that with you. If you need somebody to audit your current marketing spend because I know that you're concerned and you're going to have to make some cuts and you're looking at ways to get creative, I'm here to help you with that. I'm not selling anything. I just want to be able to offer as much of my time as I possibly can to this community that I absolutely stink and love. Okay, that I've met so many incredible people from around the world. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you can speak English, hit me up. If you can't speak English, we're going to make some accommodations and we're going to find out how we can collaborate. So if you need help creating a strategy, if you're looking at ways that you can get creative with your marketing and cut costs while still building momentum, hit me up. I want to be able to help you with that. You can DM me or you can send me an email, michael@flexdealer.com. I'm going to put all of that in the comments. And then the third thing is creating a plan and sticking with it. So if you need help getting your team on board or creating that plan and trying to figure out what you need to be doing or where you need to start, I want to be able to help you with that as much as I possibly can as well. So hit me up. You can leave me a message. You can text me. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, WhatsApp, email, phone, 780-306-2021. You can hit me up anywhere, ask me questions. I'm here to help you as much as I possibly can. Again, I'm not selling anything right now. I think it is beneficial for us to have as much collaboration and communication as possible. So if you want ideas, if you want me to be able to take a look and help you, now is the time to do it before things get really, really crazy. And a lot of people start taking me up on that. And as this thing hits the ether. But guys, listen, ultimately, we will make it through this. We are more powerful than we're giving ourselves credit for. If you need to panic, give yourself a max of 72 hours to panic, and then let's get back to it, building momentum. What comes out on the other side of this crisis, no matter how big it is going to be met with even bigger, better, more lucrative opportunities. Of that, I am certain. Okay? Of that, I am certain. And that's what I want to leave with you today. DPB gang, my friends, family, loved ones, be well, be safe. And I look forward to connecting with you in any way that I possibly can. Catch you later.